All right, Rock. So just hold tight, like I said. Just wait a little bit. Give it a little pause and see what kind of traffic we pick up here.
All right. Yeah, man.
Because it's been a while since we chatted. You know what I mean?
It been a while, like 2, 3 months.
Yeah. And can you hear me properly and everything?
I can hear you properly and everything, man.
All right. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. What kind of hat you got there? The Lexus hat
Yeah, that's my Lexus hat.
that matches the car.
Yeah, no, the car is gunmetal gray,
The car's
but
what?
I got a free hat one time when I got a service.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about ready to put it away though. This stuff it needs to go away. This coldness, you know.
All right, man. So let's get right into this. All right. I mean,
All right.
put a pause on the music and we get going. So, all right. So, as you know, we've got my man Rocco Bowen. It's been a while since the last time we chatted, and I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome you back to the platform. So, welcome back to the platform, Rocco.
Thank you, my brother.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to have you on, man. Always entertaining, always enlightening, always have a good time, and always a good chat with you. Always enjoy your chat. So welcome back, man. It's really, really, really cool to see you because I haven't even seen you in a minute too. Also,
Yeah, it's been a minute, maybe and a half since we talked, seen each other. You know, how's it on your side? How's the weather for you?
it's we a stone throw away from you. It's a few more degrees colder than on your side. You wearing the toque, I'm wearing the baseball cap, so I'm good.
That sounds good, man. That sounds good. Hopefully, um, this weather gets past soon, and I can put away all this stuff and move on to the next season.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Before we get into all the race talk and horse talk and everything, because really and truly, I just enjoyed chatting with you, and it's been a while, since we had a really good audio conversation. So how you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. My actual first winter, you know, I'm almost through it. I'm in one piece. So I guess I'm thriving good.
Good. That's good to hear. You look good. You just came from working out.
Nah, races got over earlier. No, I'm just relaxing now. We had this set up to jump on a live and tomorrow. And when we catching a makeup day for races, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean that must have been pretty tough too. Not only down there, I mean for you yourself and your agent, and everybody else really who's involved. But for you in particular, that's who I'm talking about, Rocco. It must have been pretty, just frustrating a little bit, down there, all the cold days and everything.
And yeah, it was just touch and go for a minute. It was like we just entering, and canceling. Um, but I guess you can't beat Mother Nature. You just gotta wait till she passes and go from there.
Yeah, yeah. We joke a little bit before the winter started about you being an Eskimo and stuff like that. So welcome back to the Iceland, man. Welcome back. Welcome
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
You're all iced out.
My first official full winter, man. It was pretty brutal, man. I mean, 3 or 4 feet of snow. I mean, you shovel your driveway. 20 minutes later, it's back. I'll do it like twice, and then I'll say, "To hell with that, man." you know, I guess let it mount up, and when I feel like I need to go outside and get a little workout or and get stay a little occupied, and I'll go outside and do it. But otherwise than that, man, it was just indoors.
Um, so is it fair to say you kind of miss Arkansas right about now?
Oh yeah, for sure, no questions. Yeah, but you only get it for like maybe not even 3 weeks in Arkansas, maybe a few days, because then the whole city closed down in Arkansas because they can't put no salt there. Um, but they only get it for like 3 days, and then the city's closed down. It goes back to normal. We had it here for like 3 months, and
Hmm.
you know, there's days we rode when there was a lot of snow on the track. You know, it gets um, it's kind of not difficult. It's kind of difficult to explain. You know, um, like some days, like you could ride with the snow on the track, but then other days, you know, if it warms up a little bit, a lot of the snow would thaw, and the track would be like a swamp, and you know, sometimes there's not enough area for the water to run. So
Right.
then, you know, tracks unsafe. So that's you got to cancel due to those reasons, or when it gets too cold, like 2 in minus.
Yeah. I mean, um, like I look at Mahoning Valley, and I'm the funny thing for me is like I'm seeing is a lot of snow here and it's cold, and then I'm seeing on your side where they're saying it's muddy, and I'm trying to figure it out because you guys are not that much warmer than us. Like, how does the track get muddy from snow when it's so cold, or is
When
it
the
that warmer on your side? I don't know.
No, when the salt melts the snow, and
Wow.
to unthaw the track from keeping staying frozen. You know, so when the salt melts, it even makes it more muddy. And when you get the rain, but the bad part is when you get the rain and it freezes. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, I guess so. And in terms of back is it Ohio?
Yeah,
Ohio, right?
Ohio. Yep.
Mahoney Valley is in Ohio, right?
Yeah, Youngstown, Ohio.
Oh, okay. And that's just a little bit further from the other track, I guess. How much further is that?
Oh, it's like 45 minutes.
45 minutes. It's not that far. So they're running through the winter, but Thistledown it ain't running through the winter. And I guess they have their season, and Mahoney Valley got their season too. So is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how's it this season? I mean, like being there full time for the winter.
I mean, it's different. It's the same. You know, I ride with the same guys in the summer, same trainers, but it's different being in one place for the winter.
Hmm.
I thought it was gonna be a lot colder, to be honest. It is. Don't get me wrong, it's cold, but I really thought it's gonna be a lot colder.
I see. Do you set high expectations during the winter season? Like now you're at Mahoney Valley. Do you set high expectations, or you just kind of like roll through the winter, rolling all the way, hoping that spring comes around real fast?
Now you still gotta set high expectations, you know, cause it's still a working day. Um, I was trying to get to 100 before the end of the meet. Luckily, I fall short by one. You know, but stuff like that happens. You know, 99 is still not bad. Um, like we were talking, you know, set expectation for this year, 120. Um,
That's it, my brother.
yeah, brother. So you know, you still got to go to work. So you know, you still got to set expectations and you know try to get it done.
Speaking of that, right? I mean, like at first I was like, okay, I think was it last year that you came up just one short that of your expectation?
Yeah,
And I think there was another year or two when, I think we joked about something, and I spoke with your son too, and he was saying, Dad, if you only had this or whatever, you could get to that point. I can't remember exactly the words, but I was like, I'm gonna try rock and see what he says. I'm gonna throw it out, go 120 and see what he says. And see what you say. Well, what did you think initially when you saw me say 120 is the new. That's the new goal.
um, it's reachable. You know, cause remember at the end of the last year, I got 15 days, and you know that was 15 race days. So that's 2 plus weeks of racing, and I fall short of one by 100. So if you do the math, you know, 15 days, one to win a day. That's 115. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like even with that, then as a writer, you just you're not gonna go out there writing any differently from how you normally write. I mean, it's just unfortunate that last year that you got the 15-day suspension, the most ever in your career. That's the first thing you got so many?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like after so many years, I mean, of writing, and then you think that was a little bit harsh. I mean, yeah, I mean, but I mean, like after so many years, you must have had worse situations than that.
Oh yeah. I guess thought it was unjustified. You know. Um, that's guess me personally. Um, I guess I had to live, had to move on. But at the end of the day, I guess thought it was unjustified. Everybody got their opinion, but um, there's a lot of other situations. Um, I rode more aggressive, and for instance, the mile and a quarter racing um, here in Mahoning, when I got beat on fair and square, when Willie Martinez beat me on his last ride. If anyone go back and watch that race and watch the race, I got 15 days. You could clearly see the difference, man. I think Red Charles could see the difference, man. I mean, we went at it front three as pole. It was a horse race, you know. Watch back
Yeah.
early in the spring when I won the one race on Mother's Day for my mom at Churchill. Watch how aggressive that ride I put down, So like I said, I guess think it was unjustified, but I can't go back and change it. And they still going to see my face in Belter this year, so I ain't going to change a thing. I'm going to be coming.
So I mean, like speaking of that, I mean, when you say okay, we're chatting, you say we think that it was a little bit unjust, and and you didn't protest, but you're saying it's all publicly that you're saying I've had worse situations than that, but 15 days for that. He was like, man, that's crazy. Do you think that in a world like this that obviously the folks down there might see the video or whatever, do you think that they'll say maybe it was a little bit unjust, or you think they'll say like, come on, Rock, suck it up?
Yeah, a real horse person, a real person, I know what they're looking at. They'll call it unjustified, like I say. And then right up ahead, it was like kind of ridiculous, man. Like it was one of the things I had to get by fast in my life because I still had goals in front of me. And but like I say, I ain't gonna change a thing because I've been riding for 19 years, man, and I could have said if I crossed the line, and I didn't thought I crossed the line that day, and like I say, I'm guessing I'm gonna change a thing, and I'm gonna keep riding, you know.
Yeah. um what's it been like for you so far, going out from last year into this year? um you look around, you look in the jocks room, you see some youngsters, um, you see maybe some fresh faces. Is there any thoughts that go through your head when you go into jocks room these days and you see that kind of company?
Um, Not really, you know. At the end of the day, it's still competitive, you know. We going through not a really little slow slump, but in the summer, my main bar, my go-to bar, I mean, we're loaded. We have anywhere between 30 to 50 horses we rotate out, all summer. Right now, we only have 9 horses in the barn. So, my go-to barn is really down horses, and they usually turn out the better horses in the winter, to give them a rest and come back for the summer and do it all over again. But we pick up some steam and we started this year with a good percentage. We haven't dropped below 16% yet, and I think we're like 18% on the year. Um, it's not the summer yet, so we haven't really started shipping around the ride yet. We get still in Mahoning. But I'm looking forward to this year to get it at 120 and, you know, see how many stakes I could win. No, last year was leading state right in Ohio. They didn't post that, but they post I got 15 days. Guess a keynote. With 15 days, I still was leading state right in Ohio last year.
Well, we'll make sure that people know, and if people watching, we're just gonna get you to repeat that all over again. You were
You
you were
know,
what?
leading state right in Ohio last year with 15 days. You
Oh
know,
wow, man. That's that's pretty cool. Congratulations, by the way, because we got to
Thank you.
congratulate each other when we accomplish these things, man.
Exactly. Appreciate it, my brother.
If we don't do it, who's gonna do it for us?
I guess we got to do it ourselves.
That's right. We can't wait for anyone. I mean, we got to go out there and big up ourselves and do what we got to do because this is what matters. You matter. The people. Your crew matters, and this is important to you, important to us, and we just got to highlight it. So, congratulations, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Now, sometimes I want to chat to you about a few things. How much time do I have with you, anyways? Because it's like just a little bit under 9:30, but you tell me.
Man, you good? You can get going.
Oh, okay, cool. Um, in horse racing, right? There's a bunch of horse people who just truly love the horses. They're not interested in other stuff besides just the horses. A lot of times, in horse racing itself, people will say, "Hey, man, you know what? Shut up. We don't really want to hear you. We just into our horses." But don't you think that that's a big mistake because you're the jockey. You guys can talk. You got trainers who can talk, so forth. The horses really can't talk. They can perform. They're the real stars, but you guys got the words so you can go out there and help spread the word and help bring the sport to life. Do you think that that's a what do you say to those people who say let the horses do the talking, not you guys?
Man, um, you kind of got to talk for the horses because they can, like you say, they can't tell you when they want to be fed or groomed or be bed. You know, they got to depend on you to make those decisions. So you got to show up every day, and so you basically got to talk for the horses. Yeah, they still got to run, to prove themselves. But the human beings still have to interact with them, and I think it's not a bad thing to talk for them. Even if they talk for themselves on the track. The horse can't give you an interview, Derek. The horse can't give TVG an interview. So you know, sometimes people just gotta let down, come down a notch. It's horse racing is all about fun. Sometimes people get a little too carried away with it.
Yeah, I mean that's the harsh reality about horse racing, really, in general. Like I'll talk to several different people about different things, and everyone has a different opinion, different views. At the end of the day, yes, we know the horses are the stars; they're the great athletes, but truly the jockeys. I remember when I first, in my first couple of interviews, and I interview a veteran, a well-known guy from Woodbine, and he said to me, the jockeys, they're the stars of their sport, and you need to speak more to the jockeys and not to some of those people. I thought it was interesting. He said that because he was part of the industry, but when he said that, I was like, yeah, I can see that because when you guys go around, you guys get a lot of media, you get a lot of attention, especially if you win on a big day and so forth. Is there any um, big days you have marked down on your calendar this year that you want to be part of and you want to do well on that day?
I always best of Ohio. You know, um, my boss is his outfit. Breeds Ohio breds, and we usually have some standard ones. But like people say, you gotta let them do the talking. And last year we kind of had a slow 2 year old crop. We still had some good standard 2 year olds, but not like dominant as prior years. We still got a big horse fear and square. He's gearing up to come back. Um, so yeah, that's Ohio is always good when you stand up on that day, because every purse that is 100,000, and
Mm-hmm.
under at all three of our tracks, Tissot, Mahoney, and Belterra. So if you don't get to prove yourself at one track, you got another track to go to redeem yourself, and then if then you don't, you got to come back coming on to winter to try to redeem yourself in Mahoney. So it's kind of a fun, circuit because you got the best of Ohio 3 times. Not much tracks have that. Like um, fairgrounds, they don't call it the best of fairgrounds. It's like I think it's Mardi Gras Day, I guess had it or something, and they don't have it at all 3 different tracks. And Louisiana, like how Ohio. So I think that's something pretty unique.
Yeah, I remember when I was down there for the Best of Ohio Day, and I was thinking about it. So I was like, man, you know, on this track, I'm not seeing a whole lot of uh shenanigans, a whole lot of um other activity happening. But I'm looking at the race and I'm looking at the purse. I'm saying, but that's 100 grand in this race. I'm like, in that other in that other race, that's 100 grand. Those are like $400,000 just like that. But there's not a lot of big hype around it in terms of, I mean, at the track there is, because that's a lot of money there. But in terms of media and so forth, is not big. So I'm like, man, that's a quiet money for somebody.
Yeah,
You can walk with it very quietly with the purse, you know?
easy like that. Here in Ohio, that's what people dream for. They dream to breed Ohio bred, and sometimes they don't got to be too fast. It just got to get lucky, break your mate in the right time, and you know, like I say, it's a good program. You know, you can see trainers like Mike Maker. He's having a lot more Ohio breds. Like he ran one here today, and you see other trainers like Larry Ravelli. They're having Ohio breds too. He had a really good one called Philly called Back to Ohio. She even won in Arkansas in Hot Springs. So it's not a bad incentive.
Now you spoke of a mic maker having one there today, and do you see other like what we call bigger trainers sending horses in those directions more and more? Is that something that you're seeing these days?
You're seeing them more in like the Keeneland sales. You're seeing them pop up more in the Keeneland sales and selling for bigger dollars. And usually Mike Maker and those trainers are the ones that are usually snatching them up. You're seeing that more. You know,
Do you think that comes with the purses, with the best of Ohio days and stuff like that? Here's a keen trainer that might say, okay, we'll try to fish at maybe the $2 million race, or or something like that. But here we are, we're gonna still try to get that $400,000 purse with the four races combined and so forth on those kind of days. That's pretty smart.
yeah, and also if it's a Philly or if it's a mirror, you win one of those. It's black type. Black type when it goes to the Bruce is so much more.
Hmm. Hey, you know what? Rocco kind of disappeared for a bit. I hope the battery didn't die, but we'll just wait a minute and see if he comes back, and hopefully he comes back soon. Rock, if you're there, if you're not there, I see a square, fair and square. So I'm just gonna give him a minute and see how this goes. I know what's happening. There you
You're
go.
fine.
You good?
If you want,
Are you good?
I love you, baby.
Uh oh.
Bye bye.
I'm gonna wait for the jockey to come back in. Mr. Bowen, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You good?
Yeah, B. I know. My daughter called and I thought if I answer on my phone,
Oh, okay, cool.
it would have not knocked it out, but it knocked it out.
I understand, man.
Yeah,
How old is she?
she's 12 now, man.
Oh man, jeez. Golly rock. I can't believe that you got kids older than my younger kids now. I got kids like almost as old as the same age as you.
Right?
And you still got kids Older than my youngest ones.
It's, it's crazy, man. You know, it's crazy. You asked the question earlier how it feels being in the junction, man. It don't feel too good being one of the veterans, man. I won't lie. You know,
But come on, being a veteran, you got so much different advantages. You got so much experience. You can teach. I mean, you also get the edge maybe on maybe better horses. You're more familiar with more of the trainers, stuff like that. You still have an advantage.
yeah, man. But that V word, veteran, man. It's like, can you like lessen it down, like cut it down to the middle or something, like you know. And then when you look around the room, and I mean, there's only maybe like I think maybe two or three guys, maybe three at the most. Louis Rivera, Augustine Baracho, and Yuri Ranga. That's like older than me, and I think I will be next in line.
Wait, hang on a second. Speaking of that, is what about my man TD? What is he
Oh,
doing?
oh yeah, TD gets came back. Yeah, he gets got back up. He was hurt. TD got hurt again.
Oh
TD's
man.
like he's like a living fossil. I mean, the guy is like stronger than Iron Man. Yeah, TD gets came back from an injury, like not even 3 days. Horse dropped him again, and he got re-injured his femur, and he's back. He actually rode his first race back, I think, yesterday or the day before. TD's like a walking fossil, man. I guarantee you. I mean, the guy has no quit in him, and he has that same smile, and he's very polite every day. It's like it's no changes about the guy, man.
Yo, that must be pretty tough for anyone just recovering from an injury and here you go again,
Yeah,
um that's tough.
yeah. He gets has a strong mindset, man. I mean, a strong mindset, and he never complains. And you see him on good horses, bad horses. It doesn't matter. You see TD. It's like it's pretty amazing, man. You know,
I want to ask you, there was a time last year when there was a lot of hype, in the social media platforms and the fans and stuff that follow you and seeing you grow over the years. People were expecting to see you down in Jamaica. Did you put any thought into that really, or you just kind of like, yeah, if it happens, it happens? But is that something that you still would love to do or be at the mile down there?
yeah, I would love to. The opportunity gets come this year. You know, previous year when I had opportunity, I just had different obligations and I couldn't fulfill that at the time. So maybe I missed my chance this year, but I didn't get opportunity this year. But I would still love to get opportunity to go because the race is growing bigger and bigger.
At this point right now, which area do you think races is growing faster in Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, Panama?
And they're kind of growing all over. One thing that I know is pretty cool is the challenges in Venezuela, Panama, and Puerto Rico. I like to see Barbados get something like that, invite other countries. That's pretty big. I mean, there's jockeys here that you hear them say, man, that's on my bucket list to ride in one of those challenge races in a foreign country, you know.
Yeah. Um, I mean, anytime you get a chance, you get opportunity. I always say, look at it carefully because, like you said earlier, it might you might have missed the opportunity. Hopefully, that didn't happen. But a lot of times in life, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you're so caught up with in everyday life doing stuff that it tends to slip you, and before you know it, it's gone just like that.
Absolutely.
Were there any other chances you would say, opportunities that you would say, maybe I should have looked at them a little bit differently?
Um,
You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I'm just asking
I
the question,
mean,
bro.
my brother at home, Barracks, he always tells me after my third consecutive title in Emerald, after my second one, I should have guessed moved my tire to California. He always told me that that was the year I should have, maybe I should have. But when I got the opportunity to go to California, it wasn't what I thought it was. I mean, it was like I went there on an unbeaten horse to ride an unbeaten horse, 9 stakes. I mean, she won 9 races, 8 stakes in a row. After she broke her maiden, every other race was a stake, 6 different distances. And I don't think people are may understand, even if you're doing good, you have struggles in life. I went to California and I couldn't get a valet take my tack. I don't know why. Still don't know why. But it didn't leave me with a good feeling. I never been to a jocks room in America. I never had a valet. Never want to take my tack. I mean, I've been in well over 30 jocks rooms, and I know a lot of the valets. Maybe not personally, but they know who I am because I travel around a lot. But I really always wanted to move to California, and after that, I guess left a sour taste in my mouth. I sit down next to the clerk of the scale over 30 minutes, and one guy called by the name of Psycho. I remember he was the guy that took my tag, and it's so crazy. I got to sit in my idol's corner, Garrett Gomez, but like all of that didn't even reminisce with me because of how the taste I got like by the first introduction, by not felt like I was wanted there, and I was riding an unbeaten horse, man. So like that California dream went out my life really fast, you know. And I think if I do it over, I would probably, if I could do it over, maybe make a move to over here to Midwest where I moved, because I never wanted to move to the Midwest. I never wanted to ride on the East Coast. But look how life turned out.
Hmm. I mean, that's quite interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. You never told me that story. That no one won't take your tack. I didn't understand. I mean, first time hearing it from you, I can only imagine what you might have felt like, um, in a situation like that. You had to have some initial thoughts. What were you thinking, or how did you feel when that didn't happen?
The horse got beat. It was guess it was one of the first times I shipped a big track, and it was a good experience, but still a real not good experience because what I had to go through. You know, not need more or less that a horse got beat. It was just you know, the owners treated me really well. I mean, I was flown first class there. I was there for like a week. Um, I mean, I had shuttle service, butler, I had everything, man. But the welcome I got was getting warm. It was not what I thought it was going to be. So, like I said, I never really tried to fulfill dreams to going back to California, right? Like it was just on to the next.
So you went in there with a horse that on a 6 race,
No,
on
9 up and 9.
9 out of 9,
Yeah.
and you thought that they were going to welcome you in.
Like, I mean, like, you go to the jocks room, you come in with a horse that wins 6 stakes. Every valley in the room wants the jockeys that's riding the stakes because, you come with a horse like that, usually you're going to get paid. You still got to show up on the day, but, valley is the top, like, meeting a lot of other jocks rooms now and seeing my valet, that has and I ride when they come in, and other big jockeys, they want jockeys, or they're gonna get connects to get those jockeys from other their Spanish friends or whatever. So have those jockeys in the corner. That's how it works, and that's how it's seen because I rode in a lot of jocks rooms now, and so to see that, like I didn't know that's how it would, but seeing it now, it eats at me more. But other stuff happened that was even worse than that. But at the time, I wasn't being exposed to a lot of that stuff.
Do you get? I mean, okay, so Rock, you've ridden in many races. Um, you won over 1,300 races. Is it 1,400 yet, or just under
It's close.
1,400?
It's getting
Close.
close.
So I mean, you won a bunch of races. You've ridden for 19 years. You just said earlier. Do you get a bit of anxiety sometimes when you go to other tracks that you're not riding at consistently, or do you just walk in, you know, normally?
Nah, it's not really. Not anymore.
Hmm.
It's I like doing it. I like flying. I like driving. I really I look forward to the summers when I'm not in one place. You know, I know more often into it. Um, I guess the more comfortable you get, you know. And usually, your routine. Um, if you're gonna fly into a track or drive into a track, you usually try to space out times or try to get it where you could get some sleep, either if it's on the plane or the next morning
Hmm.
before the race. Or usually in the summer, I would fly to other tracks to ride day races and not night races. So it's a lot easier to control that schedule that way. Cause
Yeah.
usually races finish in Cleveland at 4:30. The last race, the airport is only 20 minutes, and I could ride a last race and could catch a 5:30, 5:30, 5:45 flight.
You know, we talk about a lot of different things, and over the years, and a lot of times, like I was mentioning to you earlier, a lot of times horse people would say, "Man, shut up, man. We just want to watch horses, or whatever, right?" And I like to get to know a little bit about the guys behind the scenes, the guys riding the horses, the guys who's involved. Let people know your story, hear a little bit more about you. Just let people know, this is a person, a full person with emotions, go through struggles and different situations. I want to ask you a question here. We talked earlier about Rocco Bowen has me on ice, but there's a lot of talk across in the U.S. about ice, and is has that affected the backstretch? Has that affected the racetrack?
Oh yeah, when the racetrack gets icy and it's kind of unsafe. Excuse me. For the horses, although they put salt down, um, it's more so to get the horses to and from the track, especially up the hill in Mahoney. Um, but like I say, much for as the amount of snow we got here, it seemed like a lot of races was canceled, but it really wasn't. You know.
Well, I know obviously you're not deflecting what I'm saying, but I'm talking about ice. The people who picking up people from off the streets. You must have heard about this. I mean,
Oh, in Ohio here, we kind of don't really have that problem.
great.
Yeah, I don't know why, but we kind of don't really have that problem here. Um, Chicago, I was seeing it having some problems on Minnesota and stuff, but I guess here's too ice for the ice to come here. you know,
I mean, I'm laughing, but I mean, it's a real serious thing because, basically, I mean, they always say you shouldn't really buy into the media. Sometimes it's tough, but it's also tough when you see videos of these guys running down people because they assume that they're not legally equipped to work in the U.S. It's kind of
yeah,
funny to me, but
it's
based
even
on
more
this
funnier
is
when
what,
they pick up their own people and they assume because their skin color is different. That's the funny part, man. You know,
Yeah, I know.
it's
But
just it's bizarre.
but but how can you tell when, if you're gonna assume that all the ice, all the people who work for ice are white or something like that? That could be a wrong statement to make, because, or of a certain color, because they're wearing masks. They're getting paid to do a job. So I don't know. I don't think that they could actually pick and choose who's going to work in that department. I mean, it's a big department and it stretch
Yeah,
all over the country.
all over the world. So I don't know, man. I guess it's crazy, and some of the ludicrous need to go away, man. Like You know, that's just
Well,
my thoughts on that's just my
my,
thoughts on it. You know,
yeah, my prayers are always for the people and for the people I know, especially because I pray for all the other people too that they don't run into any trouble or because we're all different, we're all not alike. So your temperament, you might be a person might be able to like put your head down and go ahead and do your work, but others might be people who got more voice and might say something or whatever, and then something happened to them. So hopefully that
absolutely.
doesn't happen.
And you know what that happens? One thing escalates to the next thing, and escalates to the next thing, and then you know, all hell breaks loose.
That's right. Now, you going to Florida, man?
Man, I feel so.
Look, you told me that you want to put that hat away, so that's what I'm asking. Like, the only place you can put that hat away if you go somewhere warm, you know.
Yeah, I feel so.
Okay, well, I hope to see you down there.
Yeah,
Soon. Because I do miss you on the weekends. Mahoney Valley doesn't ride on, don't run on the weekends. So at least right now, and it's always good for me to see someone to cheer for. I
I
like
feel you.
I like to do that.
Appreciate that.
Like I always say, man, I just the people who I speak with, like even on this platform or I run into or whatever, I keep an eye out and I put my alarms on to see the times of the races, so I can if I'm doing something else, I can pop it on and
You
watch the
got the
races
horse
and
racing
so
now
forth.
app?
Huh?
You got the horse racing now app?
Yeah, I got an app. You know.
Yeah. Man, I used to have that, and horse racing now is kind of annoying, man. It tells you 15 minutes to post, or you have so and so entries, man. I had to get rid of that thing, man. You know, I mean, if you got 10 entries, it'll tell you all 10 entries. It'll ding 10 times. You know, so I guess cancel that stuff out, man.
But the funny thing is that it's almost like a clock in my head. So like I don't know, it's like I can look at the sun or whatever and know exactly like okay, it's getting close to the when Rock or when Elijah is gonna ride or whatever, right? So I was like, okay, let me tune in and see how this thing goes. I don't know. I think it's a competitive thing within me. Being an athlete or used to be an athlete. We want to see people win, and I wouldn't say I want to see people lose, but I guess
Nah,
if I'm watching someone win, then I guess I might want to see someone lose. So I don't know.
but it also helps your platform too, because then you actually, what the person's doing. You don't gotta play catch up when you actually conversate with a person. So I think you're doing a good job. You like, you're trying to stay ahead of your thing. I try to stay ahead
Well,
of my thing. When I'm doing my homework and stuff.
I'm trying rock because to be honest, like I dabble in so many different other things. I I'm following the horse racing thing. I try to get as much education as possible from you guys and from the sport. And then I get into more social and community stuff because that's important to me.
For sure.
Especially this time of the year. Reverend Jesse Jackson from the U.S. He just died, and he played a big role in the civil rights movement and stuff like that. So I'm always trying to pay attention. I'm always trying to talk to historians. I'm always trying to talk to people from the community, the older ones, to let them know that look, you guys were here first, but we are trying to learn from you guys. We're trying to do some good things, and we got youths, we got our children that we gotta spread all the good stuff too. So I'm always trying to get involved. Uh, but you tell me because is it a good move to try different things, or is it stay in one lane? Is that how it works, Rock?
Nah, it's always a good move to better yourself, man. That's one of the great things I like about you. You guys don't tread the water. I mean, you being like, for instance, the mic, as similar as the mic. When you first started, you didn't have the mic like that. You know,
Oh, Rock, I didn't have a lot of things when I first started, man.
as my kids would say, the the merch. What do you got now? Um, you got merch now. You know. you're an international broadcaster. You know, so I
I'm gonna try to be
you
serious now.
you ain't stay the same. So it's really good how you say you like to talk to historians. That's not a bad thing. They were being here before us. They know a lot. You try to mix yourself with a lot of knowledgeable people. You know, so I think you're on the right path, and just keep on trying to better yourself.
Well, to be honest, it's a must because look, if something happens to me tomorrow or whatever, and I gotta change lanes, then at least I'll equip myself where I can change lanes comfortably. You know what I mean? Put my
Yeah,
indicator on and go ahead and make that switch.
yeah,
Um,
a smooth switch. Not a swervy switch that the police pull you over because you look a little staggered. You crossing lanes.
and it's always tough. It's always tough. When you have like conversations, and this is what I'm trying to do too. Because do you know for the longest time that people, like jockeys, um, communities here in Toronto, the so-called black community in Toronto was back in the late '80s, early '90s. Everyone was crying out to have a radio station on ear, right? And
Hmm.
and you couldn't get a license to get a radio station. And then I think in the early 2000s, finally got a station. I think it got dissolved now, but there's still a lot of affiliates and so forth. But guess what, Rock? The time has gone. Times have changed. We got the internet, and we're doing stuff like this. So it's important that we get voices be heard, voices who don't normally be heard. And just like you were telling me earlier, you couldn't get a guy to hold your tack down in California, right?
Yeah.
It's important that we make sure that those people can see and hear about you. It's important.
Well, I greatly appreciate you, man. I felt like, since you have me on your platform, it helped my business a lot. It helped people, not only hear a lot of things, see a lot of things, and, it's just help from everybody, and, you know, we come in on your platform, it's also helping you. So, like when you reach out to people, you know, you're trying to put your foot in front of the next foot to better yourself. I applaud you for that, man, because sometimes it's not easy to reach out to people, because
you, you
sometimes
don't you gotta
you,
tell me that.
you know, not only with a rejection, but, you get stand up or, you get excited to get a story or, and then, something changed. So I understand that, man, because like Darwin always tells me, for a jockey or a trainer, if you win it 30% of the time, that means 70% of the time you're losing. But really and truly, that's a damn good strike rate. If you're 30% trainer or jockey.
Yeah,
In normal
yeah.
ratio, it don't seem right, but winning 30% of the time, that's damn good.
You're right, and you're right, and I'll say you're right again just because you're right. But what I'm trying to say is, Rock, there's many times where I reach out to people and people would either give me a date, and then I'll get stood up, or cancel at the last minute. I mean, naturally things do happen, right? So I can't deny that, and I can't say like, look, things happen in life. I mean, it's happened to you, happened to me. Sometimes these things do happen, but you just gotta live with it. Like for me, I've absorbed it, and I've learned to that's part of the game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You
Hmm.
know, so that's just that's just how I roll, man. It's just part of the game. And keep flowing, keep moving, and I roll with you because I rock with you because ever since we started talking, it came naturally. It wasn't hard to do. It wasn't hard to chat with you. It wasn't hard to ask you questions. You made it easier for me. You was yourself. I've been to Barbados. I've met your family. You've met some of mine. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so that became very easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I never forget you keep poking at me to come to Canada. Then, lo and behold, you got me to come to Canada in a sneaky way.
Man, you gotta give the trainer a lot of thanks for that. You know,
No,
he
I give the trainer Teston a lot of thanks for that too. You know, he made it on his owners, the connections at the time. You know, everyone, but you were poking sneakily at it, and somehow you got it done. I remember I guess got off a phone call with someone, and I say, man, I don't, man, I'll call him back. And the person told me, nah, you need to answer that phone call. So then I answered the person, and then they're like, you want to come up here and ride? And I want to say it was Friday. No, I'd be Saturday because wasn't riding Fridays in Belter or anything like that yet. I don't think. Either way, I know it was one day I drove across the border and gets to ride, and I mean it happened in less than 24 hours. So give thanks to the training, the connections, everyone that involved to make it happen. It was a pretty eventful trip, and then it led to another trip the next year with my boss. So, you know,
yeah, that was real cool, man. Rock. There was a time you told me that you wanted to ride at every track across North America. Where are you right now with that? Have you given any much more thought into that?
no, I won at 32 tracks. I think I wrote at 30, 34, 34.
34 different tracks.
Yeah, there's still a lot more to go. There's still at least another 30 tracks to go.
Do you think that there's another jockey out there who's ridden at more tracks than you have, or
Bro,
we'll?
I'm I haven't really done the homework, but I'm sure. I'm sure.
Hmm. You guys get around, man. And I'll tell you this though, what I've seen from you, and is a testimony of the amount of work and hard work that you put into your game. Because to ride at 34 different tracks in North America, that's a lot of tracks. But it also tells me and tells everyone else that how much you're willing to move and to go do different things. Shake different hands, stuff like that, right? You walk into a track, different environment, you don't know what you're going to get into. uh,
Uh,
what what's what's the most awkward situation you ever been to at a brand new racetrack?
mm, I'm probably gonna say the situation in Santa Anita when I walk into the jocks room.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's once my agent got me booked on horses and I got my plane ticket. Usually, most of the time, I do my plane ticket because I don't like long layovers or say I got to go this direction back that direction to get to that direction. So since my one of my older agents, Penny Face, showed me how to fly and how to book tickets, I guess booked them. I guess make the trainer or the owners reimburse me back. 'Cause it's a lot easier that way. Then you could make your own travels and accommodations, and it's a lot easier on the mind. And you know,
Hmm. I see.
it was difficult at first, but then when you get the right tools, like the same lady Penny Face said, she sent me a whole lot of travel agencies, how to book them, how to put like a one way if I can't get a direct flight, and just play with it. Like, and even sometimes when I'm not flying, I get sit down and put in airport to airport and just figure out ideas on routes and quickest routes when you gotta get places to ride numerous tracks in a week in the same week, or to try to keep the business. So it's just something I do in spare time, you know. But when you fly a lot of places, sometimes when you put in search, it already comes up and gives you airports because you've been to them already. That's the cool part about it too. And they automatically give you the shortest route.
Hmm.
Sometimes
Man,
people are like, why would you drive 7 hours? Okay, I could drive 7 hours to go to a track to ride, but they want me to fly for 18 hours. That makes no sense. You know, to fly 18 hours and have two connections at a layover. No, I could just get in my car and drive.
that is a long time though. 18 hours. I don't subscribe to that.
No, 18-hour drive. I mean, if you gotta go a 7 hour drive to the track, and the plane ride is 18 hours. That's what I mean.
How is a plane ride becomes 18 hours? How is that
Be-
possible?
because then if you got to go layover here or connection here, a lot of times, like say if you go into a place like Arkansas that it has a small airport, a lot of planes don't fly out that into that airport, especially jumbo planes. So usually the times won't add up to when you gotta get to the racetrack. Like they'll either have flights early in the morning or the last flight out at evening. They won't got enough in middle, so it's kind of
Mm.
hard to
That's interesting. I mean, we can touch on a lot of different things when it comes to that because, for one, not having a big airport in Arkansas where there's so many people with lots of money, but I guess the tourist situation must be quite different, and maybe people drive more across the land
yeah,
in
a
the
lot
area,
of them
right?
drive more. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. For a jockey who's been around for 19 years, does it put fear into you when you hear stuff like another racetrack is going to close, or you hear people saying stuff like, horse racing is on a decline? You see some of the top trainers who you would have probably, I won't say idolized, but you've probably had a keen interest on, pass away. What goes through a jockey mind who's been around for so long?
Yeah, I guess it's part of life. You don't get no younger, you get older. Um, Racing going away. I think the anti-horse people, horse haters, I think they're hoping for it to go away, but I don't think it's going to go away. It's definitely slowing down, but I think pretty soon someone's going to come up with a genius idea or, it's going to turn around. But I don't think horse racing is going to go away for at least another 100 years or even longer. I guess really don't see it. Are we losing tracks? Yeah, we are. In my younger days, you weren't losing tracks that fast, but you know, there's always changes in life. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think horse racing is going to go away anytime soon.
You said horse haters. Do you think those people don't like horses, or you think they don't like people making horse racing the sport?
To start with, I don't think they like themselves because they say horses. We make them do stuff. No, the horses. That's what they call thoroughbreds. They call quarter horses. They breed to run. You got Mustangs. They're in the wild. Mustangs crazy. You know, that's their thing. They're in the wild. Um, thoroughbreds aren't Mustangs, so they just. I think they just want to control everything. They want to control the zoos. They want to control the circuses. They get people with too much time on their hand. Horses are smart animals, and I mean, look for instance the other day, Safi Joseph. Congratulations, he had the biggest ultimates in his life, the Pegasus. Look at that. That was tears, joy, and I didn't see nothing bad about that. That's true passionate to our animal and to the sport, and you see in car racing, and you know, but guess seeing that at the typical. Pegasus, or for instance, the Chinese when they win the Saudi the other day, you know,
Oh, you mean it was Japanese, right?
yeah, the Japanese, sorry. Um, that's true passion and true love, man. Maybe those horse haters they should watch these moments more and guess not the bad stuff. In every sport, every aspect, bad things are going to happen. Guess like politics, bad things happen. You know,
But I bet you there's going to be someone who's going to have a different angle to that because um, the good thing about it and the joy about it is that winning comes with a purse, so that makes a person really excited, and it can also change lives. It can change people's lifestyle, family situation, with a big purse. um,
communities, and not
it,
guess
it can change
communities.
a lot.
You know.
I remember there was a horse somewhere in the Breeders' Cup, and it was coming from uh, I don't want to get into it because it was a different country. It was a country, and it hadn't lost or something, but it didn't do so well. But I'm just saying, if that would have been a wonderful story for those connections. Anyways, let's move on because I can't remember exactly the country, and that'll take a lot of digging right now. But I see how a lot of times, people, circumstances can change due to horse racing. And I mean, you went down to California with a horse that was 9 for 9, and I'm pretty sure it was coming from Emerald, right?
Yeah, yes, please.
And going to Santa Anita to Santa Anita racetrack, people would have said that was a step up, and and the opportunity would have been much greater than at Emerald.
For sure.
So that's how it changes lives, and it changes the tide for different people. Um, this time of the year, Rock, is February 19th. You probably would have been getting ready to go to Barbados, to get involved in the horse racing down there. Are you doing that this year?
Probably not.
Why
Probably
not?
we don't have a horse. Our team don't have a horse. Fun in the sun, and guess things didn't line up to go. Um, I really wanted to win a Gold Cup for us. I know my agent was fishing around to get another ride for me. It didn't happen, and sometimes things just don't happen. Um, Looking forward to watching the Gold Cup, you know, but also looking forward to hopefully could be leading rider in Mahoning for the first time. That's one of the things my agent know I'm chasing, and he's trying to help me chase it, and he's really trying to get us in new barns. So sometimes, you know, something may not happen, but other things may open up. You know, win 7 titles already, but to add another one at a different track, it never hurts.
You've been a veteran, and you don't like to hear the V word, but you are a veteran, and after so many years, you've also left Barbados. You weren't highly favored when you left Barbados. Now you've become, a name that the fans know of. Um, do does it get stale? Do you still get excited about the Gold Cup, or or not?
I really do when we got a horse in it. I'm not gonna lie. I remember this one thing Darwin Clark always told me. One day I'm not gonna have to, you know, just reach out or worry about a go kart ride. And so far, all the years we've been going to Barbados, I never had to worry about a go kart ride, which is something that's pretty cool. And this year, we tried a couple of things didn't work out, and so it kind of had my mind made up. You know, the right horse or the right opportunity had to come along. I wasn't just gonna, you know, just go home, miss several days to say I go home. 'Cause business I'm still losing here. At the end of the day, I still gotta work harder to get back to business.
Do you think that there are more opportunities for you outside Mr. Clark when it comes to the Barbados Gold Cup, or do you think that uh, there's a bit of a challenge?
I think there are more opportunities outside of Mr. Clark comes to the Gold Cup. I'm pretty sure if I pick up the phone and call, I could get a ride. But like I said, I guess don't just want to have a ride to say, I'm coming home for the Gold Cup. I rather guess to say coming home to see family and not ride a Gold Cup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but do you think that, say for instance, do you think that you would have to make that trip yourself, or you would or the connections will give you a call and say, look, I want you to make that trip? outside of Mr. Clark?
Um, it haven't happened yet.
Okay, that's fair. Um, are there any youngsters around that you see writing that you say, okay, now he looks like he's going to be a good one?
Um, Patrick husband, little nephew, Micah. I think he's just gonna be really a force to reckon with. You know, if you watch the races, he's winning, and the caliber riders he's riding with, and the smart rides he's put it down, even on losing rides like horses running seconds and thirds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, he's just a different type of rider. He's way more advanced than me at that stage, and it's like night and day.
It's interesting because I guess there's something special about some people, if you want to put it that way. Um, I just got to check. There's a message I got to check here for a second. But there are some specialness about some people, and it comes in different ways. I mean, to be honest, at Rock, like you can write movies and stories about you guys. I can do a documentary about you, Rock. I can, telling the story, and you've been telling it from the time I met you. You've been telling this story. I can tell you exactly what you've been saying ever since I met you, man. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I could believe that.
The stories about in Barbados, people weren't feeling you. Um, you know, the falls. The riding, learning to ride down on Deacon's farm.
Yeah, if
Like I
anyone really knows me, they know those struggles, man. You know, those struggles were real.
hmm.
You know, I remember when
So
the boys used to, we had a back then we call it scrunting. We had to try to pool it together to get $7.50 to get a leg snap from Maps Chicken. That's when Maps Chicken was like $7.50. Now it's $20 and change now. Times were rough those times, man. I mean, I'm not talking one or two, like a group of 5 or 6 of us, man. You know, gotta eat up a one chicken box, and we used to make it happen. I mean, on a Sunday, we coming home from the beach, we trying to find like $2 to get some salt bread, and then another 50 cents to get some cheese, and we good.
there used to be a there used to be somebody used to bake some bread down there in that area.
Oh
What do you used
yeah,
to call
man.
it?
Call it Violet.
Can't remember, man. But you know better than me.
Yeah,
But
Violet, man.
that
Every
was
Sunday,
good.
man. You used to get sweet bread, man.
Yeah, that was real cool. So I want to get back to the story about you can write the a documentary, you can build a movie from these guys because you're speaking of Patrick Husband's little nephew, and he his first race he rode and he won that race. Um, there was I mean there were people dancing and jumping up and down and cheering and just for one ride that he won. So I'm just going to show you like the movie is already there. It's just somebody to do it. You can write documentaries about each or any of you guys. Even Patrick Husband himself,
Oh,
like
for sure.
the
And
time
he's
he's
a
well,
legend himself. You know.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to tell the story. You got to tell your story, and if you don't do it, no one's gonna do it for you, man. So I'm just saying, respect to you, by the way, just for joining me, just for, and when I reach out to you, when you have the time, you hit back and you say, okay, let's do it. That helps. That helps my platform, but as you said, it helps you too as well. But it helps my platform, and that's what we got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And since you touch on that, man, I remember when Patrick used to tell me, "Man, man, you got a good tempo or something, man. You got to lift these small tracks, man. I said, man, Pat, I ain't like you, and I ain't got business like you." And I mean, he always used to give me encouragement. It's not like we used to exchange a lot of words. It's only now that we talk a lot more. But he always used to give me that encouragement to try to write better places. And I always would just tell him, man, I ain't got the business that you pack, you know?
Yeah. And there's so many different layers to that because believe it or not, like each and every one of you are legends or will become legends. There will always be someone telling your story, and you have to make sure that that story is told. Um, so I believe in that. I believe in that strongly. I believe that this is a time right now, this era, for you to tell your story. You know, I've always I've always said this to people. One of the biggest fears that I have is to be just gone. Nobody knew I was here. Can you imagine with all the accomplishments that you've done in your life that you can just disappear from this earth and nobody knows that you were here? Nobody cares. You're just gone, you know? And if you don't
Yeah,
have kids, then there's no one else left to tell the story. You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
So, anyways, that's my job really is to make sure I tell a good story and make sure that people get to hear you guys, make sure they get to see you, and you tell the story the way you want it to be told. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember two of our greatest interviews, lives, whatever you want to call them, was the one with Patrick when we were all in Barbados that year,
Yeah,
and,
I remember.
and the one on the road driving. You know,
Oh,
coming
right.
back coming back from Cincinnati, the roadkill. You know,
Yes.
those are like two of my most fondest and like, man, how far we came with it, man, and you know, you always make it happen. Even if the lighting is not good, the internet is not good, you always find a way. Like tonight, for instance, you're tweaking your stuff, and it was making you more crazy than me. I was just like in my own world, like, man, I'm good, bro. You like, I'm just grateful. Like, let's get it going. And you're like, nah, you guys want it pristine. That just shows like again, how I say you just didn't settle. You kept on working and working. You're like, man, now nah, like this happened one time we were in Barbados. Like I figured it out. You come back, you tell you how to figure it out. You shut down everything, internet, everything. I thought for one moment you showed the computer outside. I guess brought it back in, but look, you got it done. You know.
Yeah, I kind of got a grip on this thing now, but that's just how it is, man. I work really hard just to learn or just to or find something different or try a different angle. I'm always working, man. So I've been up this morning from 6 o'clock this morning. I haven't had a nap. I'm still going. I won't go to sleep right away right now. My little girl, she's probably waiting for me to come off of this to say goodnight or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm always doing something, and then I'll probably jump and do some research into something else. There's a couple. I know this is off horse racing, but there's a couple people that I'm working with just to tell the stories too as well about what they do here in Toronto too as well. So I'm always doing something. Um, that being said, um, Elijah, how is he doing?
He's doing good. He's on a little vacay right now. Yeah,
A little vacay
he got suspended for 5 days.
for what?
A writing infraction.
Actually, speaking of that, there was a jockey I think that got a serious suspension down there in your parts.
Yeah, it was for Elijah, but he had multiple infractions. He had it all tied back into when they get by 15 days. He had multiple infractions, and he only just got 14 days, and that was like his third or fourth. But that last one was actually Elijah won the race. Elijah actually won the race. He got shaved pretty bad leaving the like not leaving the gates, but 5-6 jumps out. And his first pit views, and he still regathered himself and won the race. But he's doing well. Like I said, he's on vacation right now. Um,
Oh wow, man.
you
Well,
know, he's
I'm sorry to hear
experiencing
that,
the same
bro.
thing with the snow. He's like, He never seen so much snow in his life. And then he said,
Yeah.
"Man, were you in New York, bro?" He's like, "Yeah, bro. What? I never see as much snow in New York. Unlike all the time in my life, I thought once it's winter, a lot of snow is always in New York. So again, you could learn something every day in America, man. Like I really thought in wintertime, like it's just like here, a lot of snow.
But Rock, this was an exceptional winter. This if you like winter, this was a great winter. If you hate winter, this was a terrible winter. This was a lot of snow.
Man, that's what I think everybody gets saying that so they get me staying another winter, man. You know, I swear you're across the border. You say that no, everybody here say that this is the
I'm
worst.
telling you,
This is the worst winter. This is, you know, I was like,
January 26th. Um, it was the most snow recorded ever in one day to fall in Toronto.
wow,
Ever.
wow.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. Like it's been a lot of snow, a lot a lot
Mm.
of bad weather.
Well, hopefully she gets her act together and she don't act like this next year. God, this was kind of unacceptable.
Okay, I got to ask you a few more horse racing questions, and um, and I'll let you go because it's been well over an hour. Are you riding tomorrow?
Yeah,
There you go. See, I just had to put it out there because I don't want you to blame me for anything or anyone else who's following you to say, well, you know, if Derek will get off your phone, get off your computer, so that you might go and get you sleep because you
he
got
looked kind
right
of weak. He looked kind of weak on the land yesterday.
tomorrow. You know, so I'm gonna let you get your time and so forth.
But I'm like you,
So the,
Derek. I'm not going to go sleep. I'm probably going to go busybody around. You know, look at some bracelet, watch some RTN or something, man. You know, watch some more horse races. Um, I'm probably not going to go right to sleep.
yeah, I bet you look wide awake, bro. But I don't want me to be the headline to say I kept Rocco up all night. Oh man, um, horse racing in general. I mean, like the Kentucky Dream, right? You know, everyone wants the Kentucky Dream to be alive by winning or getting that opportunity to get there. I mean, you had the opportunity with the horse you had a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
when um, do you see? Well, I guess not because you're not out there in Arkansas. But is that still a burner, or you've succumbed to the ice and to the reality of horse racing and the turnaways from Santa Anita? All that starts sinking, and you say, you know what? I think I think I got my lane, or do you still keep the dream alive?
Nah, I still keep the dream alive. I really like to ride a Breeders' Cup. I don't Kentucky Derby. Yeah, it's not really like top on my list, but the Breeders' Cup always been because the best of the best go there. Um, best horses. I mean, um, like you said, someone always tells a story. I like to watch those NBC stories coming around Breeders' Cup time. You know, I'm always hoping I could be like, you know, in one of those stories one of these days. You know, so yeah, it's still alive. You know, most of the days I get up to go work, that's usually what I get up to go work for, to find that nice good horse. You know,
That's real cool. I'm glad to hear that. Actually, it was kind of a trick question, but I'm really glad that you answered it that way because it just goes to show you that no matter how long you've been around in this business or whatever, there's still something about the sport that keeps you burning. You know, keeps you wanting to go more and more and more. I'm glad you're able to say that because then not only me but other people can hear it too, to realize that you still want to be out there. Um, to win those big races, and you still want to keep that dream alive, man. Um, we all need something to push for. I was talking to some old fellas the other day, right? Older than me, when I say old fellas. And You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I know
uh,
what
we,
you mean.
so we were talking about why these old men still look at girls a certain way and everything. So the fellas like, these guys still need something to push for it, or you just can't sit down there and curl up. You still need something to aim for in life. So, guys might be retired or whatever, but they always seem to have something that they inspire them. You gotta go for something. You know what I mean?
It's
So
true.
yeah. Oh, I want to ask you something that just slipped my mind, Rocco. Oh yeah, now I remember. So as I'm speaking to you, and we were talking about Kentucky Derby and all that stuff. You can tell me if it's any different or not. But when I was there in Barbados the first time with you, 2024, yeah, and all the media was around you. I thought that was real cool. Um, I like that. I enjoyed it. You were holding court when Nancy was there. Um, and you were there for like a good half an hour or so, telling stories and it was real cool to see. I really hope that get back to that point again where stuff like that can happen, because as an athlete, that's your dreams. Your dreams is always to have that kind of attention where people acknowledge what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought it was real cool, man. I really hope to see that again sometime soon. That was just me making sure I put it out there.
That whole 2024 trip, that was pretty cool trip, man. It was pretty memorable trip. You know, so hopefully one day we all could do it again.
Darwin was telling me, I don't know if it might happen or not, but he was saying, Derek, what you should do, you know how he talks, right? What you
Yeah,
should do is you should go live on Gold Cup Day and talk and talk about the races and so forth, and how things are going, and who predict and who will win and who brings some more excitement to the races. I was like, man, I don't know, because to get someone to chat with me for all them hours, I don't know if that is possible. I know people are too distracted sometimes to want to sit in for so many hours, chatting. Uh, I'm a rare breed, so I might be the only one who's willing to do stuff like that.
but I would say so, man. You made surprise yourself, man. You tossed that out there. People may inspire you. Yeah, there. That's a good thing, man. Like I agree with that. It needs a lot more hype to the Barbados Gold Cup. So
But
yeah,
but I was telling him, like, there's a lot of spin-offs from what I started. There's a lot of spin-offs now, and I like seeing them. I would hope that they would do it because they're there, first of all, in
yeah,
Barbados, and they can bring some kind of excitement to the event. There's also, like, you're gonna have the big TV stations gonna pick it up on that day, so that's cool too. So I would hope that those youngsters who start doing their own thing would continue do stuff like that. It's good for everyone.
absolutely. One of the things I really miss from Arkansas too, hearing the media people telling me, man, I really miss going to Barbados when they used to work for TVG that one year we
Yes.
went.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. And it's like, man, I really wish we could go back or whatever, man. That won't be, I know it's easier said than done, but I guess putting it out there because people at home may not know that, but those people will always come up to me because they know that time of year I go home for Gold Cup, no question asked. And to hear them say, man, I guess really hope I could get an opportunity to go back to Barbados and broadcast that race. A lot of people may just think, why would they want to go? But I'm guessing there's a good reason that they want to go back, because they not accustomed to seeing the energy we put out on Gold Cup Day or for race day in general. The energy is not like that up here. It may be in New York but there's Barbados energy is different. It gets a whole different type of energy come most race days, but Gold Cup days gets like I mean, it's something special, you know. Even if you're on 100 to 1, you're part of the energy, and like, it's just different. People hanging over the railing, you know.
Yeah, that's something special. It's a different environment. I'm glad to see that it goes without any problems. Um, I've seen other places where it looks real chaotic. I won't call names because people jump on me for saying where, but I've
Yeah,
seen some other places where where things just don't look too good. But I think in Barbados brings a sort of a festival atmosphere. I don't know. What do you think? To me, it
I,
brings a fact because the people all around the track and everything else.
it's almost like a Louisiana vibe, a Margaret,
Yeah.
uh, Mardi Gras vibe, a festival. And it only starts like the day before with the scurries and stuff. I think if we could get it like a whole week's long, like from the Friday before, you know, to the next Friday, and then the last dance would be the Gold Cup. You know, something to bring more tourists, like, you know, do more Gold Cup festivals. It's easier said than done, but we could get it done. And there's no guarantee that we could get it done. You just got to get the right people to get the right marketing, and it will be done, man. It's 2026. You know, remember when the Gold Cup was in black and white? Like you said, there are a lot of spin-offs to what you do, and like I remember seeing the clip for the Tangos. I thought it was a really good clip with the Barbados versus Trinidad and Tobago. I really thought that was like really whoever done it was really. I was like, damn, that's it's stepping up. Like I really like that clip, man. So kudos and congrats to whoever did that clip, man. That was, that's forward movements. You know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, Rock. Um, I wanted to ask you, how was the grandma?
Well, grandma is doing good. Grandma
Good,
is she's still good. She
good.
got dementia. She is no worse. More than unfortunately, I won't be going home this year. But I still talk to her. It's that part of life, tough part of life. You know, some days she don't remember me. Most days she would remember me, but she always remembers when I don't have a shape like this. So no, I try to keep it like this. Because she remembers me more.
Hmm.
You know,
Pretty cool.
because she was always telling me, "Can you find a barber?" So that kind of puts a smile on my face. But it's kind of hard when she don't remember stuff. But like my mom tells me, it's part of life.
Yeah. I hope that for this year that things start to loosen up a little bit. Um, so I can come over and just kind of vibe across the border like I usually do, because there's a lot of interesting things happening in the U.S. Uh, so I'm very happy to be a very good neighbor and just stay back here. But
I wait from across the borderline, huh?
so I like my neighbors where I can call them on WhatsApp, but I can chat them from a distance. We can still do this. We can still vibe, but I'll be watching you for sure. Staying on horse racing now. I'll be watching you. I really hope that you can tear it up. Um, you know, get those big jumps early, so that when September comes around, you're not playing makeup. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's the plan. You know, that's the plan.
All right, my man. So it's all Ohio this year. If something else changes, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see.
but definitely, the toque comes off soon because it's gonna
Yeah,
be too hot.
it's going too hot, man. Hopefully, I bring that toe out, tub, whatever. Everyone calls it different, Tupperware, and hopefully, I put that in the garage and far in the back till next year. I gotta go dig and look for it. Not next year, next winter, man. Hopefully next year, but it'll be back come November again, December.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Rock, best wishes in the spring, best wishes in the summer. I sincerely hope that everything goes well, injury free. Because horse racing, you never know with horse racing. You just got to be as good as you're healthy, right?
Absolutely, man. I always love, man, and thanks for that, man. It's just, you know, you just gotta stay pray up, and injuries are gonna be there. It's not if or when, it's just how bad, and you just keep on moving. And I got good inspiration. If I feel like this one injury could keep me down, I'll just give my man TD a call, man, because you know, he, he's seen it all. You know, he's seen it all. I know that's a pretty bold statement, but yeah, you got to see TD. I call him out. He's a living fossil, man, and he gets keep on smiling and going every day, man. And I never heard that guy complain once. And that guy got more steel in his body than I got bones in my body, man. You
Wow.
know,
Well, it seems like he has the recipe
yeah,
to keep going.
he's happy. He just keeps going, man, and you know, he's a big part of Ohio. Elijah met him and he's like, Rocco, how old is this guy? I said, I really don't know, man, but I know this guy. He don't look no older. And when you hook TD, you gotta ride because TD rides every jump of the way. It's just his style, and he don't give you no braver. So don't think you get beat that old guy that is cake. You gotta ride, man. A couple of times he hated on me, man. I mean, I won't lie. He's a good guy, man. On and off the track.
Yeah. Well, I think we've come to the end of our line here, Rock.
All right,
Keep doing your thing.
I'm gonna try, man. You too. You keep doing your thing too, D.
Yeah, man. For sure. Keep doing your thing. Shouts out to my people who always tune in when we do lives and stuff like that. Big shout out to Leroy Trotman. And shout out to the Gold Cup watchers, the people who always tune in to Gold Cup's excitement and Gold Cup stuff. Um, I want to say rest in peace to my cuz Denise. That's my guy that I always talk about. His mom. He lives in Trinidad. His mom passed away just last week. She live a beautiful life, and we just gotta celebrate from now. Celebrate her life. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, rest in peace, man.
yeah, yeah. Rest in peace, Denise. All right, Rock.
All right, D.
That's it for the night, man.
That's it for tonight, man.
Big respect for coming on, man. Until next time, don't be a stranger anytime you want to, man. All right.
All right, man. Respect, D. All the
All right.
time, man.
Respect every time.
Every time.
All right, bro.
All right, bro.